Okay. Okay, let's start. We're only a small crowd today, but we start another talk series for this semester, in AgScience-on-Tap. And this semester we were going to talk about sustainable food production and nutrition. So just as a quick introduction, this is Monika Egerer. And I'm Claudia Luksch. I'm managing the Hans Eismann Forum for Agriculture, and we are networking all the chairs that have to do with agriculture, ecology, and stuff at TUM. And Monika is one of our members.
Yes, so hi, welcome from my side as well. My name is Monika Egerer, and yeah, we've been doing this now for 2 years.
Since COVID.
Since COVID, yeah, 3 years.
We started online.
Yeah, so it's our 3rd year anniversary. And we have a really, should I already introduce the line of talks, or do you want to do that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have a very exciting line of talks, co-developed by our team. We threw around a lot of ideas. And this year, this summer semester, we are focusing on sustainable food production and nutrition. So starting from proteins all the way up to
chocolate.
Talk
about chocolate, that's my favorite.
Yeah, good thing that Lent is over. And ending with more thinking about the entire system and how do we model the sustainability of food systems. And yeah, we also always welcome tips for what you guys would like to hear about over the next or for a semester. And yeah, we are starting this April with, I think, a really exciting talk and something I know nothing about, per usual.
Yeah,
so I'm
some details here.
Very excited. So I pass it now on to Claudia. And thank you guys so much for spending your Monday evening with us.
So another nice thing this semester is that we try to have speakers from all different institutions at campus. So we have someone from Kompetenzzentrum Ernährung, we have someone from TUM, and we have someone from, I think, Leibniz Institute, and we have someone from the University of Applied Sciences. So I'm very happy to introduce Özlem. This name is so difficult for me. Özlem Özmutlu. Perfect. So she's actually a TUM alumna.
Yes.
So she did her PhD in high pressure processing. I hope you tell us something about it because I have no clue what that is.
Yeah.
And after 12 years working in food industry, where you always also work with chocolate, I read, and dairy products, she started 2016 at University of Applied Sciences here in Weihenstephan. And she is head of the Food Technology and Processing group. And she's also in the Senate of the university. And I read you are a member of the Expert Council of Bioeconomy in Bavaria.
Yeah.
So we have an expert here, and I'm looking forward to your talk on alternative proteins, about the opportunities we have, but also the challenge we have with proteins. So the floor is yours. For the
There you go. So, thank you very much for the nice introduction, Claudia. I'm happy. I was watching. Have to admit, I didn't come in personally here. But in the food industry, we are giving another meaning and another function to those all alternative proteins. And please interrupt me anytime if you just like see any word or anything that you just say that, okay, we are going in the wrong direction. That was what we are not expecting. So just stop me and then we just like change the direction together. So, fine? Okay, good. So shortly, was too fast. I am from Faculty of Food Technology and Horticulture. And in this faculty, we have several different study programs. These are the 2 study programs that I'm teaching. One is the Food Technology Bachelor and the other Food Quality Master programs. So just like so that you know more or less, and then we have as well in horticulture another two different study programs. One is bachelor and the other is master. Claudia told as well that I'm heading the Institute of Food Technology. That is more or less it is similar to the university structure that you have the department and the institutes. More or less it's as well the faculty and the institute where we are doing some research work. I will today talk about only the two research programs or research projects that I'm having, because these are both about alternative proteins. But before, I just want to give you an overview how it starts, where I just said that, okay, I just want to make research about alternative proteins. So how it started. I think it is quite interesting to know as well, a bit like who is leading in the food technology research trends. We are, as all the universities, really in close contact with the industry partners. And the first of all, when I started in 2016, the first questions were coming. We have a research project. We need some bachelor or master students. Can we work together? And those were mainly having really as component alternative proteins, and that was how it started. And afterwards, of course, if you want to do research, as all over the world, I think the same, you need resources. You just need, I don't know how it works in other institutions, but you just normally get a limited amount of resources that you can start your research, but afterwards you have to find your own money. And that's the place how you said that, okay, that is the first, the ministries are, of course, supporting in Germany, but also the European Union research programs are as well the other possibility that you can resource your research. How those institutions decide what to or where to give the money. And that brings us to the Sustainable Development Goals. Since we are talking about the sustainability, all in all, it's a word which has been misused lately quite a lot, but it is still the building blocks for us to decide actually the way where we can continue. So that's why under the roof of United Nations, all the sustainability goals. So whenever we are trying to open a new research project or research question, always see, okay, how many of those goals we can address in our research. It's not just to make it on the paper, but really, how can we address it? Can we address zero hunger with alternative proteins? Can we claim that we generate resources which are available in abundance, or can we just change accessibility of some geographies or some groups better than before? So it is the zero hunger. As well, good health and well-being. I will not go really into detail, but it is all about, when we talk about food, of course, it's because of our health. It is not that we just only just get only the calories, but it is really nourishment is really important. At the end of this today presentation, I will give some, not my recommendations, but I will share some recommendations with you. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a food technologist or food engineer. So that's why my part is literally technologically is from farm to fork. From fork ongoing, it's just actually the nutritionists. But of course, during the creation, I should know as well which implication my processing steps can have afterwards for the nutrition food. So that's why it is also partly my, of course, responsibility, but I will just only give some recommendations. So that's why it is important. Good health, well-being. There were so many studies. I didn't bring the studies here, just so many statistics as well. Also, really clinical studies have been done that we should move our diets into to the diet form that we just consume less meat and then increase as well the vegetables. It is not really a completely new, it has been already started some decades also for the Mediterranean diet and so on. So it's the known fact, all in all. But I think it is still a question mark to which extent and how can we just really create, at least if we are already as food industry saying, okay, we should shift our consumption behavior and consumption pattern in a definite way, then we have to create as well other possibilities so that consumers can always choose or have better choices at the end. So that brings me to the question that you know all regarding the alternative proteins. You have been consuming many of them. Maybe you can just like help me out. I just want to give some of the examples, what we all know we are using. And in the last decades or in the last 10 years, I'm realizing it every time, most probably you are realizing as well, to go to supermarket, that the shelves where you find those meat analogs or alternative different proteins, just like increasing and increasing. So we have much more choices right now to select. I just didn't bring many of the like examples here. There are so many meat and dairy analogs, but maybe you can as well name some for the meat, the alternatives that you are consuming, maybe from that product category, if you are consuming any. Milk or dairy, which ones? Except oat. Yes, exactly, like wheat or soy, Impossible Burger, Beyond Burger. I mean, I'm just giving some company names, but I don't have any connection to those. It's just not for advertising purposes. Exactly. Oat, nutmeg, and there are so many different, and then sometimes you see just say, okay, there are similar ingredients, what we see, okay, it is just and they have some claims as well on the products, right? It is okay, we don't have yet, partly there are some products that you just even see the greenhouse emission rates of a specific product, right? And yeah, it is more or less a bit like to have the choice, and then you have, of course, the decision what you can make, how you want to select according to the realities, the possibilities, what also stated on the packaging. So this quite a lot. We are actually quite advanced on that part. These are what I selected, the 5 trends. Alternative proteins, cultured meat, cultivated meat. Most probably you heard about it. That is, it is more to use as well. Fermentation technology, precision fermentation. It's called this. Has to be controlled quite detailed and really in a precise form, so that we don't have any contaminations, and then we can really use the bacteria in that way that we can generate definite cells to produce. Most of those technologies, you just start with an animal cell, but then in fermentation conditions, you can let this cell produce animal cell structure. So at the end of the fermentation process, you can create a meat product, which will bring actually us to the discussion as well. There are some countries that they can already have some products on the market, as Singapore is one of them. In USA, there are some, but actually Singapore is more advanced. They have already also available for the consumers that they can buy. They started with chicken, like chicken animal cell, which was also quite successful. What we see as well, another parenthesis, it is exactly for the meat and dairy analogs as well, country-specific regulations. So that's why we might not find one specific product in one country, or we can only find it in maybe some part of the world, but not everywhere, because we have different regulations. Singapore has the advantage that they can decide independently on the food regulation. Of course, in Germany, in EU, we have the European food legislation, and then if we have new products that we were not consuming as food, so we have to go through the novel food processing, and the novel food processing is quite a long, of course, it should be truly performed, and that's why it takes really long time. So that's why we have always, I mean, in my opinion, when we see all different new food applications, we have more or less 5 to 7 years difference to USA. I mean, FDA, Food Drug Administration, gives already some recommendations. Till it comes to EU, and European Food Safety Authority gives as well some recommendation. It takes some time. So that's why it is some differences. That is taught as well, yet now is from one of the trending alternative protein sources. Another fermentation related, maybe you have heard already, mycoprotein. It is also a fermentation technology, but there we use a specific fungi as starter, and through this biomass and also the precision fermentation that we can generate using microorganisms, we can generate as well a mass of like biomass, what we called, but it resembles from the taste and as well the texture meat-like products. Corn, again, is an example I'm giving it. It is one of the big producers in Europe that they can produce mycoprotein. In my opinion, from all different meat analogs that I've tasted till now, it was from the umami profile, sensory profile, and the aroma was the closest one to the meat. For the time being, you cannot buy in the supermarkets, but you can order it. I mean, they just deliver as well to European Union borders, maybe worldwide. I don't know, I didn't check. Most probably you heard already algae, or maybe you are using algae already as food supplements because they're everywhere. It is only that we are trying to, again, use them in a specific fermented, or not the fermentation, a specific biomass that we grow them, can grow them. One of our research projects will be now about the algae, and that is also quite an important source of protein. Not only protein, most probably you have, if you are just having some other supplements, omega-3 or omega-6, it's also from algae. We can produce it really sustainably compared to the, of course, fish omega-3 and fish omega-6 sources. And the lovely subject, edible insects. So far, 4 species already got through the novel food processing. There are 2, one cricket and the other grasshopper, I think, no, cricket, and 2 different mellow types are already registered, given the allowance now to as a novel food. I don't know if, I mean, as long as I was asking all my students as well, or the other people, it is not really part of our regular diet. I mean, most probably it won't be soon as well. I argue always that our generation might still have a choice to not to have or to have it, but at some point in the future, it might not be anymore any decision to be made, but then we just like maybe have to get really those all possible alternative sources. So that's why it is quite still interesting taste profile. I mean, was trying with my students all the, I could have brought actually some products today, sorry, I just completely didn't think about it. All of them, I mean, I could have brought some. And I mean, it's just like a nutty, crispy taste. You just like don't get it depending on the food matrix that you are using. It is actually quite okay to in some of the matrices really to use. But all of them, what we see, we are always talking about taste and texture. Now, these are the two things that we have to fulfill. So, and there the word comes the challenge, because we cannot really create always the food texture and the taste that we are looking for, that we know conventionally or traditionally prepared food products, what we have. So these are the main trends. There are some more. I will just come to those as well. These are the ones that you most probably know. So when we talk about having a protein, we are talking mostly having a protein powder. And protein powders might have completely different levels of purity in terms of protein from the flour. Like, let's take pea as example, that we can have. We can of course consume all of the products as well as they are. We just, of course, there is no. It is also for the digestibility and for the bioavailability quite important. What we are trying to do as well to create the proteins in powder form so that we can use those in different food matrices, or to create also those different possibilities for the alternative products. The easiest form is to have a flour, but of course, if we have a flour, then we don't have the protein purity. If we go further to concentrate, then we can have more or less like 60-65% protein in our product. That is just a bit better. And if we go a bit higher to isolates, then we can go to 80-95%, and then we can increase the protein content in our products. And of course, it is more effective if we just want to create the protein level in our food products to comparable to the traditional food products that we are consuming. These are all commercially available as in all different forms. I mean, if you will be, I don't know, getting interested in just to have potato protein, for example, even if you just look for it, you would just find completely different producers. And from one producer, you find maybe 10 different potato proteins. These are either different in the purity level, what I was mentioning before, or as well to the processes that they are producing. And the processes can change different characteristic of this product, which we will come later on. And with that, we can say that, okay, this is better to use as egg replacer, but this one would function better in a drink, because then we look for really different characteristic if we are using in one application or the other one. So we are not always having the same, what we have in the different flour types. There's exactly the same methodology. Rapeseed was quite newest ones that is really a nice soluble profile that we can have. It is comparable, and what we compare always is our proteins that like whey protein, whey powder, whey concentrate, or isolate, that you can directly say that, okay, it has similar concentration, similar properties or characteristics that you can use. The pseudo cereals we have, they are as well increasing now. They are still not commercially available, but the microalgae, as food supplement is commercially available, but not as protein itself. So it is only as biomass it is available. Another protein that you might have heard already, air protein, that you can really you can make a fermentation only using air and a specific bacteria. Startup started 3 years ago doing this. And it is exactly this similar biotechnological advance, what we can say. But here they are using only one specific type of bacteria that they can utilize. It can utilize the nitrogen as protein source, and then can create actually a biomass that we can use as well for food consumption. They are still gathering some crowdfunding and so on. They got really brilliant support, and they are still, they have patented their technology as well. So most probably we will, I don't know how long might it take to see them in Europe, but at least in Canada, they will be producing end of this year. So what I was talking about, but if you're not stopping me, so that I understand that everything is okay, or you're just like, yeah. So I was telling regarding the flour, concentrates and isolates and so on. So what are all the other things which are really important for us? Because let's start with like kilo of peas that we have. Either, as I said, it's purely fine that we just like eat it as it is. But if we want to process it, one important thing is the crop composition, how we process it. We have to, because we are generating, I mean, like just think of a cow animal that eats grass and it utilizes grass for us, creates the amino acid structures that is more suitable for us, for our body and for our nutrition. What we are trying to do, we try to eliminate the animal part, a really important part in the food supply chain. And then we say, okay, can we get through our processing as well the nutrients in the grass or in the plant that we can utilize for us as good as a cow? Of course, we cannot. I mean, that is definitely not our aim, but it is, I mean, we're just like trying to make it a bit clear what we are trying to do with the downstream processing. So we apply specific, it is completely different for each different product, protein category, how we can extract the protein, how we can collect the protein and to create this powder form is different. But these are the main steps when we think about just to get we have to open up the cell structure so that we can get the nutrients, and then we just like precipitate them. We just get the protein from the matrix, and then we try to have either a concentrate or an isolate at the end. Afterwards, we have hopefully white powder, maybe green, maybe brown, maybe red. I mean, depending on, maybe we have really, we just don't want to completely reduce the extract the colorants in it. And these are all the ones when functionality, when we called about protein functionality is really important, techno-functional properties. You just see it, I mean, you use it actually in the every day. This is, for example, if you want to have an emulsion, which we have an emulsion like a mayonnaise, for example, that we want to mix different phases together, and then we just create a homogeneous structure that we can as well use proteins to stabilize this emulsion structure. Or as you see for your cappuccino, that we have to have full mobility, that we can, if we just like want to use another milk alternative, you most probably, if you tried already, you most probably saw it. They behave differently if you have a normal milk or oat milk. You have different, and if you have an oat milk barista, then you have a different forming structure as well. So this is what the food industry is trying as well, to give the possibility that we can use this property for our use, or for the end product that we can just like use really the I don't know, we want our product to be heat stable to a definite temperature while we are cooking, and afterwards it should first gel. We just don't want to have the gel at, I don't know, 30 degrees, but we want to have it first at 50 degrees. So all those properties we can give and design a bit with the processes that we might use during our processing. Challenges, we continue. Yeah. Gelling, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Just to create the gel structure. Exactly. Yeah. exactly. And viscosity is more or less the same. How it flows, the flow property, that might be really important for chocolate, for example. I said nutrition. That was, I mean, I just have to check the time that I don't use your, yeah, because it is really every single word, what I just say that I can really talk about a bit longer. Nutrition is really important from the reason that I was just telling, because we have the P, just getting it, and then we have to really get the nutritive really components in it so that we can just use it. But again, if we would eat grass, we cannot, because it is in the plant cell structure and it is for us a bit difficult to digest. So that's why we cannot get completely all the amino acid structure what we have. That is the nutritional value. The amino acid composition, most probably if you just like are maybe having a diet, vegetarian or vegan, you know that there are some amino acids or essential amino acids which are really important, and we have to take them extra. I mean, our body cannot generate them, so we have to just take them through the food that we eat. And there are some limiting amino acids that we cannot just like get from the plants as it is itself. So we have to combine them in a way that we can get all the amino acids what we need. There are currently some, I don't know, I was again using for some trials, hemp protein. No, that is also another new, I mean, not new as it is as crop, but it is getting really trendy as well to use all its components. And then you can see on the pack the amino acid composition of that product, which I personally find it's a bit difficult for a consumer to decide, okay, from which amino acid do I need how much? I mean, that is also already getting really quite, yeah, a bit more specific. You know, you cannot just say per se, then you can say, okay, I need all those. But yeah, that's why we just like have to, at least we can know, okay, that is the amino acid that it doesn't have, so maybe I can support it with another one. So that's why it's really important. And even it took quite a long time for the food industry to find also standards for it, because it was new, and then it was just, okay, which values should we take, with what should we compare? So always we take, when we are comparing any new or another plant protein, digestibility, how we can digest it, always compare with the egg white, because that is the one, or standard, we said, okay, that one we know that the human body can consume this. And normally it is just really in vivo studies that you can do to decide to measure how digestible is a protein. Anti-nutritional factors, of course, in anything it can be that we have some additional chemicals that we should avoid, or they just like come during the process. But it is more or less not only for the alternative proteins, but for the alternative proteins, mainly the amino acid one. The taste we discussed already. We always can have some undesirable flavors. If you were consuming already, for example, a milk alternative with pea, then you can already say, yeah, there is a bit of bitterness note that you cannot get rid of during processing. You can, of course, use other like aroma compounds that you can mask it, or you just, when you combine it with rice, you don't get the bitterness that much, so you can just look for some those alternatives. But also mainly the technofunctional and bioactivity. The technofunctionality, I will come maybe later on those specific product examples, what I will give soon to you. So that was from now on, I wanted to just give how we started to have our research programs, and just like wanted to give an overview, okay, why alternative proteins are still, are really important to have a sustainable food production system. And I will give now 2 examples of research work that we are doing. One is we are doing on, I don't know if you know, duckweed, water lentil. That is also another cooperation project that we are producing water lentils with indoor farming system. There was already, right, about the indoor farming system, and there are still some of the activities you will hear about it. What we thought about that, we said, okay, we don't use lens. No, we just don't have any lens to cultivate indoor farm. We just like need nutrients and water, and also some light. And then we said, okay, can we design a system that we can say that all those different techno-functionalities, for example, I want to use my water lentil protein only for my cappuccino. Let's say I'm just looking for really to have the foamability. Can I design the system accordingly that I can have the protein nutritional value, I can have the lighting condition, air condition, temperature, and everything, so that I can really say that, okay, if I use those parameters, I can produce a protein like that, and then if I use those and I can produce another one. So that is the project that will be ending end of this year. One PhD student working on that, and these are how our little indoor farm looks like. There are 2 companies who are producing water lentil or duckweed, and it got the EFSA approval, European Food Safety Authorization, as protein concentrate, I think 4 weeks ago. So it can, I mean, they are selling this product as well, and their water lentil production facilities, they are as big as a football field. So it is really a huge water system that they are just like using. So I just want to mention so that you can think about the dimension of it. They are as concentrates, so you can just take and then you can make, I mean, your own product smoothies, or the food industry can use as, yeah, they are producing alfalfa as well. And the other project, which we are mainly using many alternative proteins, it is from the EU, and how it comes, again, just like want to make this research, because European Union, for example, releasing the coal, and then say, okay, we are now giving research funds only to the projects that will be using the alternative proteins. So that was one of the calls like that, and then we applied. HSWT, I mean, we are the coordinators. We started already. We have 17 partners. It's a bit difficult to organize the whole consortium, but it is working really well. Mainly here, the aim is to create protein concentrates or isolates, final products that we can really use in the Mediterranean region, that we can create new products in the Mediterranean region. Of course, Germany is not a Mediterranean country, but it is eligible to be in the consortium at least, to just like move the things a bit forward. And we'll just directly go into our protein sources. Mainly all of those, I mean, when we just like talk about, okay, faba beans or tomato leaf, what you can see for all of the alternative protein sources, the main aim, all of them, they use really quite less resources when you think about the greenhouse emissions all over. So all of them, each individually, we compared through the literature search and through the studies with the meat and all the other alternatives. And then we found out they're quite advantages also for the production and also for the final product. So these are the ones that we selected. What you can see as well that comes to the word as well, bioeconomy, where we just like can really use the waste streams as well to just like bring back into the circular economy, to the value chain again, not to use only as feed or not to only just like use as fertilizer, but just really to say, okay, do we have still some other nutrients in it that we can gain them and then we can use? And these are all the ones that we are producing. It will be like 20 different food products that we will be producing. Some of them, as you see, this protein powder, or as supplements that we can use a different in products that maybe it is not typically used till now. In final food matrices that we can use in fermented products or in enriched products, what you can see. I hope, I mean, mellow is, I don't know, it is the Malve in German, because I always forget. All the others, I think, are familiar as products. And how we do this? We do this with some pre-processing, extraction, fractionation methods. I won't go into detail. If you really have interest to just see, okay, what are the different, I'm happy to talk about them, but just like want to keep it simple. I mean, these are all, not all, but yeah, microwave is not that new, but these are all the innovative technologies that we can use to open up the cell structure, to change any of the functionality, to increase a bit the protein yield when we are extracting the proteins and so on. And really important is not only to produce them, but to see how is the functionality. Can we have in those new sources maybe allergenicity? Do we have, of course, we have to assess if we can create any protein fractions during those processes that might be susceptible as like the allergen. We just because don't want to create new allergens in the food chain. How are bioaccessible? How are the bioavailability in the intestine? That is quite important as well. All of the processes that we are using, we are analyzing as well the life cycle assessment to see if we can really have, as we say, the sustainable food processes, if we can really reach this. We are now evaluating them, and then we will select only the ones that we can really, it just brings an advantage to us. I mean, if it is just exactly having really high electricity or energy consumption that we cannot really generate the mass that we want to create, then we say that, okay, it is not feasible for that production and for that protein. And also the economical part, and then we have as well consumer studies. They started already. We are asking in different geographies already, how is the most probably you are taking part in some of the maybe the online questionnaires and so on. Your expectation about the product, your expectation about what you can just really expect from the food industry as well, that they have to be serving you as product or as different alternative ingredients maybe to you. And finally, we will launch those from the selection for products in Turkey and in Tunisia. These are the two countries selected for that program because they really wanted to have the application, the dissemination ongoing in the Mediterranean countries. That's why we selected those. But we will have startups maybe just as well to bring them in other countries if they found it interesting. With it, I come already to my last slide. I'm not sure if you are checking the updates from DGE, Deutsche Gesellschaft für Ernährung. I mean, me neither, but I was just like checking always. They changed the recommendation lately, right? And 2 weeks ago. And I summarized it for you, so you can, it's good to know, exactly. I just made a summary. So what is different than before? Of course, the 5 portions of fruits, I think everyone knows about it. What they just changed afterwards, it's like to limit a bit the animal products consumption. That is the planetary diet. Maybe you have heard about it. Eat Lancet already a couple of years ago. They said that okay, how we can change our diet accordingly so that we can maybe really reduce some of the consumption of definite products that we just have a really higher impact on the greenhouse emissions or in the climate. So that is the recommendation. You can just check and see how realistic it is. Is it you? Can you just like find yourself again? Because it is really, I mean, there is no one solution for all. It's a recommendation, but for your own diet needs and so on. And of course, you have to make another decision. So the thing is, I mean, as I said, I'm not as a nutritionist here, only as like a food technologist who is trying to serve and give some different products available. What I always say is just like, if I would have given a recommendation, just like vary your diet as much as possible that you can do. So that is the most important thing, my opinion. And with it, you can anyhow reach all different as well alternative proteins. Just be open to try to see what is good for you, what works for you. Because I think the food industry is creating quite a lot of different proteins and different products that you can just select from the bunch what it is waiting you. So with it, that was the last one. So it is my LinkedIn profile. If you want to have any questions, just like can add me, and I'm thanking my team because they created all the input that we generated for our research programs, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Hopefully you have some.